Hello and welcome to week 4 of my weekly reading vlogs. So far we're being consistent. We love a consistent Sarah because Sarah is anything but consistent most of the time. So it's once again Tuesday night. It's almost 10 o'clock. But I feel like a week, I don't know. I think it's because I work so early in the morning on Tuesdays and like I have to recover from the week and like I don't want to edit and stuff. So by the time like it's Tuesday, Wednesday is when I'm like ready to film again and start another vlog. So I feel like that's how my weeks are just gonna go. And these are just gonna be starting on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, which is fine because not the one I just posted, but the vlog from last week is like an hour long. And I didn't think it was gonna be that long, but I also didn't expect to read 3 books. I read 3 books in that week. I finished The Secret. I read Ribbon Night, I think, and then I also read Still Beating, which I was gonna do. Like I had so many feelings toward the end of that week that I had so many updates I needed to do, and then they were like 10 minutes a piece, 10 minutes long a piece, and that vlog I still need to finish. I did a rough edit of it, and it's like an hour long, and I'm just like, why are you like this? So I'm going to try to do less check-ins, hopefully. The one from the previous week that I just posted was only 36 minutes, which I think is more bearable for people who are actually watching them. Like, I don't even know how many people actually watch them all the way through, or if are skipping them, or just have them on the background. I mean, you do you, whatever. I mean, I just appreciate anyone even viewing just a little snippet of them or just seeing what I'm reading. So thank you to everyone who does view. But anyway, right now I'm still in the middle of reading. I don't even remember what I talked about when I was reading. So I started reading Tragic by Devney Perry. Now, if you watched, it's not out yet, but by the time this one's out, that one will be out. If you watched my previous reading vlog where I read Ribbon Night, I explain how so Devney Perry's series are all interconnected, and I literally just got off with the live show for the first 2 books in the Clifton Forge series because I'm reading them for a read along. And one of the conversations we were having was how Devney Perry's series all interconnect, like I just said. There are characters, so her first series is Jameson Cove. We have Nick, who is Dash's brother? Yeah, Dash's brother Nick gets a book in that series. Now, and Dash is the main character in Steel Knight. Then we have in Riven King, we have Isaiah. Now, Isaiah's backstory, if you don't read the Lark Cove series, which is, and this is the book I'm reading, Tragic, which is Isaiah's brother Cain, his story, you're kind of going in not knowing what happened. You do learn. You don't really necessarily need to read these other series before diving into any of them because everything is explained. But like that event that happened that made Isaiah's character happened in a completely different series, in a completely different book, in a completely different town, but it's all the same world. And I love that with authors like this where they can interconnect everything. But then I did not realize that Devney Perry goes even deeper than that because she writes under a pen name Willa Nash. And there are characters in her other series under Willa Nash that are part of that come in, I don't know if it's the Eden series or something. Like they're all like, everything's interconnected, interwoven. I'm just like, that's a little bit much. But I do like seeing characters from other books show up and like how they're connected. Because I think someone also said that Emmeline, who is Nick's wife, and Nick is Dash's brother, Emmeline was the ex-fiance of Logan from Tattered, which is the first book in the Lark Cove series. I'm like, what? Because I haven't read, I've read 4 books so far by Devney Perry. Well, 3.5. So I read Tattered. I did read Tattered. That was the first one I read. And then I read the first 2 in Clifton Forge, and now I'm reading Tragic. Those are the only books by her I read. So now I'm like, I have to go back and read all of these other series and all these other books because I need to know who's connected how, because I'm like that. And I hear Catherine Cowles is the same way, but you shouldn't read both authors at the same time because they're very similar in that regard. But anyway, that was a tangent. I'm currently reading Tragic, which is Cain and Piper's story. Now we do see Cain and Piper both in Riven Night Isaiah and Genevieve go visit them in Lark Cove. So we do see them after their happily ever after, but in this one, they are just meeting. And now Piper is, if you read Lark Cove, which is the series that this is part of, Piper is Logan from the first book, his secretary that was in New York. So he moves to Montana to be with his wife, whose name I can't remember, Thea, I think is her name. And now she just gets out of a terrible marriage. I guess her husband cheated on her with his, I guess he thinks the Broadway star, he cheated on her with his co-star, and she was like, you know what, I'm done. They get a divorce. She leaves New York for Montana, gets a home in Montana, and now her neighbor, her grunchy, I always said crotchety and grumpy. Her grumpy neighbor is Kane. And in the prologue, we see him literally after this accident happens that changes his life in the course of this whole storyline. So we don't yet know the details of what happened, but we do know that he lost Shannon and his child. That's pretty much all we know of it right now. And he keeps, we know if you read Clifton Forge first, which I did, he does not yet mention Isaiah by name or who he is. He just mentions he, and it's usually italicized. It's his fault. So I blame him for all of this. I know who the him is, which makes it even more like, oh. And in this book, we don't know where Isaiah is. We haven't, I at least have not gotten, I'm only, I don't know what, it's on my Hoopla, so I'm not reading it on Kindle, so there's no percentages, but it's like, I think I'm over 100 pages in right now. And it's like 380 some pages. So as of right now, we don't know where Isaiah is in terms of plot line. And we know in Riven Knight, he's in jail for 3 years after what happened. At this point, I'm assuming he's in prison, but it's not addressed yet. So it's really good. The only thing I'm having an issue with this, I'm waiting for it to get be better later on. So far, what I'm having the issue with is he lives in a cabin like on the edge of Piper's property. She's renovating a house and living in an Airstream on the edge of her property. They're neighbors, and they're having just like a casual fling. Like they're just kind of in it for like having the sex. It just seems like an awkward sort of relationship that's going on right now. Like, I don't know, because for him, he doesn't even there's some inner monologue where he says that, he never felt the same way about any other woman that he does about Piper. And I'm just like, but what about Shannon? Like, what happened with that? So I'm thinking that even though she was having his child, I don't think there was any kind of real feeling or love there. But I'm not sure. I'm curious to see how that is explained, like their relationship and what happened with that. Because I know from reading Riven Knight that even though she was having Kane's baby, Isaiah and Shannon were like, he was in love with her and was like had a thing for her and they wanted to be together. So curious, I'm interesting. But it's just that he's also so broken about losing his, I think she was his fiance. Losing his fiance and his child. He's so broken over it and broody, and it's been, I forget how many years they said, 3 years maybe, which would make sense timeline wise of Isaiah being in prison. And after the chat with the live show, I'm waiting to get to the point in this book where all hell breaks loose, because I'm expecting it to happen first from the chat we have had in the live show. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little bit slow right now. There's a lot of sex happening. Like they literally go like 2 or 3 days between having sex with each other. Like it's a whole thing. And I also like that Kane is I don't know what you would call it, a carpenter, I guess. He works with wood and he makes like furniture and stuff, which is really cool. Yeah, and I'm loving the aesthetic of the Montana wilderness, essentially. Like he lives in a cabin in the woods. So You can tell, like, I think pretty much all of Devney Perry stuff is set in Montana. I think that's where she lives. But yeah, so I'm enjoying it so far. After that, I think I'm going to read... There was something else I wanted to pick up, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, that's right. I wanted to read the next book in the Boston... Not the Boston Underworld. Well, I do want to read that. I do want to read Ghost. I meant to say the Underworld series by Sophie Lark, which is Snow. So I think I want to read Snow. And I might read that before I pick up Stone Princess, I think is the third book of the Clifton Forge. Because our next live show is the 10th. So I have 2 weeks to read those 2 books, which is Stone Princess and Noble Prince, I think. So I think it's Presley, and then who's the 4th book? It's not Leo. Leo is the Jester one. Noble Prince. Noble Prince is the characters that we don't know yet. It's Scarlet and Luke, I think. We're introduced to them in Riven Knight, which I talk about in that vlog. But I think those are the next 2 books. I think I'm gonna end up getting these in paperback. They're all on KU for right now, but they're only on KU until August 20th. So if you're watching this vlog and you want to read the Clifton Forge series with Devney Perry, be sure to get it download it onto your Kindle before August 20th, because as far as my understanding is, as long as it's downloaded on your Kindle, even if it gets taken off of KU, you can still read it until you return it. Just so you are aware. But yeah, so if you are interested at all reading this series, pick it up now while you still can. But I still think I'm gonna get the paperbacks, because I'm really, really enjoying this series a lot. So yeah, so that's gonna be my update. It's Tuesday night. I have to work tomorrow and Thursday. I'm off Friday. I have to work Saturday. I'm off Sunday. I think these vlogs are going to tend to go Tuesday to Sunday, it seems like. I'm not going to do full week vlogs, especially not if I'm having, as I'm talking for 12.5 minutes, 12+ minute updates every single day. So I'm going to try to do it more sporadically, maybe after I finish a book, or unless there's something important happening. We'll see. But yeah, so all right, that's going to be the update for today. I will talk to you guys either tomorrow or when I finish Tragic and give you my thoughts on that. Hello. It is Thursday. Yeah. It's Thursday night. I said I was going to update after, I don't remember. I know I started this vlog on Tuesday. I don't remember what all I said, but I think I said I was going to update after I finished Tragic by Devney Perry. I decided that I'm kind of almost done. I'm reading on my Hoopla, so there's like no percentage, but I'm 262 pages in, so I have just a little over 100 pages left to read. And I was getting a little bit worried there for a minute, because I felt like things had hit a lull, and I was like, yeah, I like their romance. Nothing exciting was happening. They were just kind of hooking up and then not hooking up, and then talking about her renovation and his shop and this and that. I'm like, okay, this is fine, but like, is it gonna pick up anytime soon? And then thankfully I sat here and read for a good decent chunk of time, and things started to pick up. If you read the synopsis, you can kind of guess what happens based on that, if you know the story of, or if you have any idea of what happened in Isaiah or Cain's story at all. So that happened, and so far, I know a lot of people don't like this trope. Honestly, this is when I like it. This is the context in which I adore this trope. I like it usually, a lot of the time I like it, most of the time. So there are a couple occasions where I'm like, is this necessary? Like, what is the point of this? But this one is, obviously it's necessary. So we're getting to that point, and I was getting really annoyed though with Piper's whole thing with her ex-husband, who she would say that, like, her inner monologue would say like that they were kind of putting on a show and just pretending, and neither one of them was really trying to make the relationship work, but they also weren't really acknowledging that it wasn't working. So when she finally did break things off with him, she still had this like gnawing guilt and like this constant thing where anytime he called, she would answer the phone. Because it was just like his thing where he was using her as a sounding board, and she was just used to that. And I'm just like, really? Like, you divorced him because he cheated on you, and then you moved all the way across the country to get away from him and to start fresh, and now you're just letting him come back into your life. It was really annoying, especially when it happened when she was on a date. I don't know if it wasn't really a date, but like, it was a date with Kane, and he came into I'm just like, can we just stop? Please. You don't. She kept saying that she didn't want to answer, but like it was just like habit for her to answer, and I'm like, okay, well, you can say no, like you can stop now, like this is annoying. And then he shows up, and I'm just like, ugh, can we just get rid of this guy already, because he's really annoying and I don't like him, and he's a tool and he's a douchebag. So that part was really irritating, because I was like, if this is gonna be a problem with him coming back in the picture trying to win her back, and like she falls for it, I'm gonna be really pissed off. Because that, I really don't like the other man trope or the other woman trope when the other person is a douchebag. And it's like, why are you even considering? And I mean, I don't think she was considering getting back with him at all. She wasn't. But it was just the fact that he kept pushing himself into her life, and she was letting it happen, that drove me fucking insane. But I said this in my Still Beating vlog, when I read Still Beating, my last week's vlog. I don't mind the other man, other woman trope if the other person is likable, and it makes it hard for you to not like them. I don't like that trope when like I said, I don't like the trope when the person is unlikable and a douchebag, and why? So yeah, so that was getting annoying, but like it was okay, because she didn't really have thoughts of ever getting back with him, so it wasn't quite as bad. But yeah, and there was a really funny scene where her and her ex-husband, they have a confrontation outside of her trailer, and Kane gets pissed off and broody and goes inside her trailer and is like sitting in front of the window watching them eating her pie, and she sees him, and he's like, he's eating my pie, and he's just like, with this angry, I just imagine his angry face shoveling pie into his mouth, and it made me giggle. I'm sorry, it did. And then there's a really funny scene where his cabin almost burns down, and I'm just like, oh no. But it's a fun time. It started to pick up after I was getting worried about that lull, and then things started to pick up and started to happen again. So I'm better with it now. I intended to stop at, I forget how long ago it was. It's like 8:30 now, and I kept reading because it started to get really good. I started to get really interesting. So now I'm just waiting, because we got over this one hump, and he finally revealed what happened in his past with Shannon and the whole thing. He still hasn't mentioned Isaiah by name. He still says him in like italics. It's him. So I'm waiting for that huge can of worms to open, because I'm pretty sure I just watched we just participated in the live show for Steel King and Riven Knight with Jess and Tori, and there was a whole discussion about Devney Perry's, how all of Devney Perry's series like interconnect, and there's characters that show up in other series and bounce around. And there was discussion, because I mentioned that as soon as I finished Riven Knight, I had to go back and start reading Tragic, and then there was a whole conversation started about it, and I forgot where I was going with that. Son of a bitch. Oh, someone mentioned, I think it was Jess, because she read Tragic recently as well, that Kane has a very severe reaction when he learns that Isaiah gets out of jail early, because he was supposed to be in longer than he was. And then there was a whole reveal about what happened to put Isaiah in jail, and I'm like, ooh. So like, it was a little bit spoilery, but like it just made me want to read, because now I'm like reading this and I'm like, I want to get to the part where this happens, because I want to experience it firsthand. I can't decide. I may still sit here and read this some more, or I may watch some more booktube, but I just wanted to update, give a little chit chat about my experience with the book so far. So now I'm going to update you once I finally finish this with my thoughts, and I think I'm going to start I don't know what I'm going to start next. I can't decide if I want to start... What the hell's the next book? Something Princess? Stone Princess? I can't decide if I want to start Stone Princess next or read something else. And if I can't decide what else I want to read, then I'm probably just going to end up starting Stone Princess. We'll see. We'll see when I finish this what my feelings are. But I'll figure that out. I'll let you guys know in my next update what I decide to do. Hello everybody. It's Friday. I don't even know what time it is. Probably like 8 o'clock or so. Close to 8 o'clock. Yes, my hair is down today for once. I got a bug up my ass, I guess, and decided to do my hair, and I put some makeup on, and I filmed today. I filmed 2 videos today. They were both spontaneous videos. I was literally sitting watching, what was I watching? I think I was watching some booktube videos and got inspired, and I'm one of those people that, like, I don't sit and plan videos out. I just kind of, like, when I want to film, I do like a little bit of, like, so I know what I'm going to talk about, and then I sit and film. So but today I put a little bit more effort into that. So I do have those are gonna come up over the next couple weeks. I'm gonna put them in between these vlogs, or if I don't have a vlog for a week, I'll put one of those up. I don't know. So hopefully I'll get some more ideas like that in the future, and I'll have some of those filler things. But I'm here to give you a reading update. I finished Tragic by Devney Perry, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It's gonna get the 4 stars because it was a little bit slow in like the beginning middle area, and the update before I said that before, where then things started to pick up, and then it was like toward the end when we got the whole bit with Isaiah, where we finally meet Isaiah, and I got really excited because there was a little hint dropped about him moving to Clifton Forge and taking a mechanic's position, and if you read Riven Knight, you know that's that story. So that was really exciting. And then at the very end there is a little blurb that says if you want Isaiah's story, you can read Riven Knight. So but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fine. I was hoping to get... It skipped a lot of time toward the end. And so I was hoping to like get some stuff with the like later in the pregnancy. There was a lot of pregnancy stuff, but like it was kind of intermixed with the whole Isaiah thing coming to light. And then it just kind of like skips the epilogue, and I'm just like, okay. A lot of epilogues, most of the epilogues I'm kind of like whatever. They're kind of like, for the most part, like throwaway chapters. Like I'll read them just to see where the couple is at whatever point in time it jumps to. And this one I was like, it's fine. It was typical of an epilogue where a lot of people don't usually like, and I was just like, Like I mentioned this in a video previously where like it doesn't bother me, but I'm noticing it a lot more now, and I'm noticing it how often it's used in epilogue form. So anyway, after I finished that, I sat here for a little while and tried to figure out what I wanted to read. I decided that I didn't want to read... I was reading a lot of dark stuff, and I love... Dark romance is my bread and butter. I love it. I love all of the angsty... Give me all the angst, tear me apart stuff, but I've been reading a lot of it lately. Like, Still Beating was really, really heavy on that. Even Riven Knight had a lot of it in there, and Tragic as well. I mean, there were some fun parts, but for a lot of it was like emotionally heavy. So I wanted to read every like a dark romance book that I have on my shelf that I was looking at. I was like, I really am not in the mood to read something very dark and gritty right now, which is saying a lot for me. So I moved down to like my more traditionally published stuff, and I thought about picking up Dial A for Auntie. So that's like a rom-com sort of story. So that was an option. And then I was like, well, I spent today watching a couple back old author interviews on Jess from Peace Love Books channel, and I watched Joanna Shoop's interview, and I was like, oh, I got a couple of her books. So like maybe I want to read a historical. I had that in my hand, and then I saw The Bodyguard by Catherine Center sitting on my shelf. And this is one of my book of the months for this month, actually. For July? Yeah, for July. And I really need to read more of my book of the month because I get at least one or sometimes two a month, and I don't read them. And this is a romance, but it's more, well, I've read the first like 20 pages of it just to see if that's what I'm in the mood for, and I'm having fun with it so far. It's a little bit more lighthearted than what I've been reading. It's told in first person point of view. I don't know if we get the hero's perspective, but we do get the heroine's perspective, and she is a bodyguard. She works for I think it's Executive Protection Agency, I think is what it was. And so it's told in first person from her point of view, and it deals with a little bit of a sensitive topic for me, which is she is literally the first, when we meet her, she is like she's just coming back from her mother's funeral. So there is a talk about her mother having like end stage cirrhosis and her being ill and like everything that's going on with that. And I'm just like, okay, I just want to get past this because it was just a little bit close to home for me, but it wasn't heavy in that emotional state of it because the hero was just like, I want to go back to work. Like, I don't want to sit here and grieve because that's not who I am. Her and her mom weren't even that close, well, according to her. So she tries to go back to work and her boss is like, no, like that's not happening. And one thing that she promised her mother that she would do on her deathbed was take a vacation. So she decides to book a random ass flight to Toledo, Ohio, just because that was the cheapest flight she found. So she was gonna get her boyfriend to come with her, but her boyfriend has other plans and breaks up with her the night of her mother's funeral. And tells her one of the reasons is because she's a terrible kisser. And that's where I ended this, because I was really reading the beginning of the next chapter, and she was a month later. I was still enraged about it. So it's lighter hearted. I like the little bit of the humor aspect to it, making light of really could be really dark and heavy situations. So I think this is probably going to be something I would need, and it's not that long. It's like maybe, I think it is 300 pages, 302 pages. It's short enough that I can get through this. Because after this, I have to dive right back into the Clifton Forge series. So I have to read Stone Princess is the next one. So I wanted to have the kind of like a palate cleanser in between, and I also wanted to get a physical book because I've gotten better with reading on my tablet, but I get tired of it after a while. Like I get tired of staring at the screen, so I'm like, I want to read something physically. So I feel like I gotta put something in between reading on my Kindle, just as a palate cleanser for both my mental state and also my eyeballs. So yeah, so I'm enjoying this so far. It's about 8 o'clock. I have to work tomorrow, and then I'm off Sunday, but I have things to do tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, so I don't know how much of this I'll be able to read, but I'm going to go get ready for bed, take care of the puppies, and then I'm probably going to stay up and read for a little while. I am tired. I was reading this and I was like falling asleep, not because it was boring by any means, but just because when I sit in here on a lull in this chair for too long, my eyes start to get heavy. So we'll see how late I actually stay up trying to read. But that's my update. I think this is going to be a very mellow reading week. If I get 2 books done, I'll be happy with that. It's more than I've been doing in the past since I've been a reader. So yeah, so I'm going to talk to you guys, I don't know, before the end of the weekend. Hi, I need to close out this vlog because I was about to start recording the next one and realized I never actually officially closed this one. So I finished The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and I'm gonna give this 5 stars. I was pleasantly surprised by this. I've never read Catherine Center before. I know she mostly does what I think is more like suspense, thrillery women's fiction sort of thing is my understanding of what she writes. I don't know that for sure, but
this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the romance. I enjoyed the banter between the characters. I enjoyed even the side characters. I like that we got to spend time on what is his, I don't remember what his name is. Jack Stapleton. I enjoyed his that they spent so much time on his family's cattle ranch, and there was a horse scene in here that reminded me of the show Heartland, where it was like an ex-circus horse that he did like tricks on, which is specific tricks for like gymnastics on horseback. I can't remember what it's called. Trick riding. Trick riding. He did some trick riding stunts that I was like, was it believable? I mean, he did say that he had horseback riding on his resume, so like he spent his life learning to ride, but it's a very specific skill to be able to trick ride, like what he did. So I was like, okay, I'll suspend disbelief and go with it. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. This had a one bed trope in it. I don't remember if I mentioned that in the last clip, that I loved. And they didn't actually, I think there was like one scene where they accidentally slept in the same bed together because it was in his old room. And she was like, I'm going to sleep on the floor. It's fine. Like, I'm used to it. Because she does sleep in the closet when she has like, when she's like anxious and stuff, just from her past. And they both do have fairly traumatic, I would say traumatic, not I mean, his is more tragic than traumatic, but hers is traumatic pasts. This isn't dark really a whole lot. It doesn't seem dark. When they talk about their past, yeah, it's dark, but like it's not anything that like I would typically be reading. The one thing, I mean, I liked this was told first person from the heroine's point of view, like as if she was telling you this story. Like she'll mention like Jack's movies like being real movies as if we've all seen them. Like, oh yeah, you've seen that, right? Of course you have. Like, who hasn't seen that movie? And I was reading the author's note, and apparently the movies that they mention were made from I think Christina Lauren and Jodi Picoult books, like books of theirs that were turned into movies, I guess is what she was referencing in here. I wasn't entirely sure which ones they were because I don't read Jodi Picoult, and I've only read a couple Christina Lauren, and I don't remember the specific ones she mentioned, but I'm curious to go back now and find them again and see. But yeah, and then there's Meryl Streep references in here, and Meryl Streep is one of my favorite actresses of all time, which is, I mean, come on. Yeah, and then there was a girlfriend, like he had a girlfriend, a supposed girlfriend that kind of came into play toward the end, but this was done, it wasn't really like other woman trope. I mean, like she shows up as the other woman, but like, is she really the other woman though, you know? So I actually like how that was done. And the whole reason she's his bodyguard is because there's been threats against him. He has a stalker, and they think they don't really put much merit behind her because she's like this middle-aged corgi breeder, and like she's fairly harmless, but just because of certain things that they still need to be cautious, you know. And then later on things start to escalate with the threats turning into like death threats and stuff, so things get a little crazy toward the end, but it was a good time. It was enjoyable. I found myself really wanting to pick the book up and continue reading, so I'm definitely going to give this 5 stars. I'm really happy that I chose to pick this up in between all the dark stuff I was reading, because it was a lighter. I mean, there obviously were some dark things to it, but it was a lighter read, a happier read. There was at the very end there was a little bit of kind of like a moral of the story sort of thing going on toward the end, and kind of like a little bit of a motivational context going on, if that makes any sense. But I really did enjoy this, and I'm glad I picked it up. So that was the last book for this vlog. I only read 2 books, I think, and I already forgot what the other book was, so there's that. But yeah, so I hope you guys are enjoying these vlogs. Oh, again, I'm trying to make them a lot shorter. Hopefully this one shouldn't be as long as the other ones. But, so yeah, so that's going to be it for this week's vlog. I'm actually going to start the following week vlog, which is going to be for the Romance Takeover Readathon, I believe is what it's called. So I have a bunch of books. I'm probably not gonna read all of them, but I do have a bunch of books that I'm gonna put on my list to read for the week and see how many I can get through. I'm trying to get them to be shorter books that I can read in either 1 or 2 sittings, and then hopefully get through some things. But it's already late. This is already August 2nd, and I believe this started yesterday on the 1st, and I wanted to finish. I did finish this last night, like, late, but I wanted to finish it earlier in the day so I could start one of my books for the new readathon. But I ended up falling asleep and taking a nap for, like, 2 hours and just wasted a whole bunch of time. So that didn't work out, but I did finish this last night at least. I was going to start my next book today while I was at work, but I ended up not even taking a break at all today. So yeah, I'm going to go stop talking now and go start my next vlog because I'm going to talk about all of that in that vlog. So again, thank you guys so much for watching if you are sticking through these to the end. And I will see you guys in my next vlog, which will be next week for you. But for me, it'll be, in just a couple seconds. So bye.